righty, everybody. Welcome to Talking Real Estate here, Champions Real Estate Team at Berkshire Hathaway Home Service Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner, team leader here. Every Wednesday we jump on, give you a rundown of what's going on in the real estate market. We got our Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage, my co-host Camden. Say hi, buddy. Say hi. There you go. All right. So we jump on, give you a rundown of the real estate market over the last 7 days. Like to give you a, do you want to watch hockey? We got the game playing on. Anyways, so I'll give you a quick tip this week. So a quick tip this week is one of the things when I'm working with my buyers is talking about functionality, functional square footage in a house. So sometimes people are worried about, a simple example is a formal dining room. Some people I've had clients like, oh, the formal dining room, it's too big, too small, this. And I just ask them, how often do you use it? And they're like, oh, for holidays, 3 to 4 times a year. And I'm like, okay, so you're going to make a $250,000, $500,000, $1 million decision off of, on a room that you're only going to use 3 to 4 times a year. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes kind of sense. And so the thing is like, what rooms are you going to use 90% of the time? Your kitchens, your family rooms, your, bedrooms, those type of things, and focus on the things that you're going to use 90% of the time. And if you want an informal dining room or something like that, then great. Then, so I've worked with families that they do, twice a month, they're getting together with their family and doing Sunday brunches. And then that's great. Then yes, that's an important part of the house if you're using it. So those type of things are what I look at, and sometimes people are like, well, the master bedroom's too small or too big or this or that. And I'm like, well, how much time other than sleeping in there do you spend? Well, not really. We get up, get ready in the morning in the bathroom, and we're out of there. And I'm like, okay, so as long as your furniture fits in there, then it's fine, right? So sometimes people get concerned or worried about things that aren't necessarily a big deal, in all instances in that side. What's the matter, buddy? So yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, functional square footage, focusing on the rooms you use majority of the time. That's kind of those things like when I have my coaching sessions with my buyers or before we even start looking at houses. Those are things I kind of bring up because they worry about I tell them, you worry about the oohs and the ahs. I worry about the details. I'll point out things in houses that I see, good, bad, or indifferent, and just like I said, educating those buyers throughout the process so they can make the best decision for them, whichever house that is. And so it's kind of, sometimes I have clients say, well, Mark, what do you think? Would you live here? And I'm like, well, my needs and wants and needs are different than what your wants and needs for your family, but I've worked with hundreds of families buying and selling houses. And it's like, I bring up things, hey, this is what I've seen in the past, and so it's just giving your insight. So like you said, they can make their best decision for them. So yeah, that's kind of my quick tip is functional square footage. And, the rooms that you're going to use 90% of the time, make those, your bigger decision makers or key decision points in there. So let's jump in what's gone on the real estate market over the last 7 days. So we hit a new mile marker as far as the in our 7-day statistics here. We had 616 new listings go live in the last 7 days. Last week, I think it was like 676, if I'm not mistaken, or right around there, 675. And then we had 511 pending contracts go under contract in the last 7 days. I look back at my notes. I have notes every week. I have the data from, I think, 2020. So 5 years worth of data every single week. Last time we broke the 500 contracts in 1 week was basically April of last year. So, we're seeing a lot of buyer activity. I think as far as, I know Russ is going to talk about rates here in just a minute. But I think, rates, people are they're just going out there and buying houses. And rates are kind of a second fiddle. Like last fall, it was, they're 7%, and they're trying to adjust it and that kind of stuff. And now they're kind of like, hey, they're 6.5%, they're 7%, they are what they are. Let's get out there, let's get in the action, because they're seeing more houses come on the market. And we had 676 happy new homeowners the last 7 days. So we got that rocking and rolling for them. So congratulations to them. Let's take a look at the 30,000 foot view here. So like I said, 30,000 foot view, these numbers don't change a whole lot. These are the numbers I put these out here because I feel like every agent throws these numbers out there, but a lot of agents do not pay attention to the last 7 days of what's going on and the actual, they're on the field, they're on the game field, they're watching the plays develop and what's going on. Whereas this graphic here is the coaches in the press box watching it out there and kind of adjusting accordingly. But this isn't, exactly what's happening. So we had 3127 active listings in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS, 1,810 in the Douglas-Sarpy County, and just under 900 existing homes. So that number's ticking up a little bit. New construction's going off because essentially new construction is not putting a a lot of more foundations in the ground. Those foundations were put in the ground back in December, November, to get ready for that spring marketplace, to have them ready to go, go on the market now. Months of inventory went down a little bit from that 2.8 to 2.6, and average sold price went up, by $1,000. So we're seeing that our average sale price is going up, which is typical this time of year, supply, demand, all that good stuff there. So little perspective. So that 3,127 homes active in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS. When I got my real estate license in 2008, we had about 5,500 just in Omaha. So that was not including Lincoln. So you can see just how, 17 years ago, just kind of with the market and, just the peaks and valleys of the inventory goes, and what we're dealing with, all that good stuff. So if you have any questions, any more insights you want to know, I can talk about this stuff for a long time, but we try to keep these videos short here. But yeah, reach out, any social media platforms. Obviously, my cell phone number is down here. Feel free to reach out anytime. But let's jump in here with Russ and see what's going on in the mortgage industry, what the rates are doing, all that kind of fun stuff. So how are we doing, Russ?
Mark, mortgage rates continue to move a little bit sideways. Of course, at the 1st of April, we saw the tariffs push mortgage rates higher. They've softened back to where they were before. And obviously, there's hope that they might move lower, but we don't know that for sure. So those folks that are waiting for lower rates, they may or may not materialize. We still have a ways to go with this tariff situation, and inflation could pop up. We very well could see some changes in pricing of goods and availability of goods on the shelves, and as we approach Mother's Day, and that will have a ripple effect through the economy. There were a lot of folks back in September of last year when the Fed lowered short-term rates that thought we'd see mortgage rates drop, and they actually went the opposite direction. So the important thing to know is, and you've said it many times, you marry the house, you date the rate. In the event that rates happen to come down after you've bought the house, 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 months, 2 years, whatever it might be, you can always refinance to a lower rate, but you've been able to take advantage of the appreciation in the home between when you bought it and when you refinance. If rates stay the same, you bought the house. You have the house that you want in today's market. If rates happen to go up, today's rate is better than what they are 6 months from now, you'll be glad you purchased. So what I would tell you is, don't wait for something that we don't know for certain is going to happen. Go ahead and make that decision now, and you can always right size the rate later on.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like I said, it is. We've seen over the last 5 years, I do a quarterly market analysis that I mail out to all my clients, and so keep them informed of what their house is doing. And usually I put in there what's happened over the last 5 years, just a matter of perspective. In my last letter I sent out, it was 46.2% increase in your average sold price in the last 5 years. So that's one of those things that I'm working now. I have a couple of clients, past clients, that are talking about getting into real estate investing. And they're like, well, Mark, is now a good time to get into real estate investing? Well, it's never a good time to get in. It's what's the best time for you and when are you ready? And so that's what we talk about. And it's like, you bought a house 5 years ago, on average, you're going to have 50% increase in your return on your money. And so it's just a matter of, was that a good time for you personally, financially, all that kind of good stuff, to make sure you're ready to enter that kind of world. But those things just keeping you, so it's like, well, let's wait for rates to get better and rates to come down. Well, rates are going to do what rates are going to do. They're going to go up, they're going to go down, but over time, historically, ultimately, we don't have a crystal ball, but historically, the housing prices have gone up, 2 to 3% a year. Obviously, we had our, skewed numbers over the COVID timeframe where it was 10%, 15%, in certain marketplaces. So just a matter of what's going on. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of all we have for today. But if you have any questions, like I said, reach out to either Russ or myself at 290-8936 for Russ, or myself, 672-7670. Obviously, any of the social media platforms, happy to help you. If you have any questions, topics you want us to cover, we can do a separate video outside of our weekly videos. So we're, happy to do that. And we've done rent versus buying. We've done, buyer seminars, all kinds of sorts of stuff. So we're happy to help and get you educated and get you ready to rock and roll, whether you're buying or selling. So have a great weekend and enjoy the weather, and we will see